Okay, I guess a motion to, God, can I say adjourn the meeting? No, I guess to start the meeting. So, I don't have the meeting agenda in front of me, so Drew, I'm gonna let you steer that part of it.
All right, the first order is, after the call of order, is to the approval of minutes from June 9th, 2021.
You might be muted.
We are not. Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep, the first,
I'll motion if I can. Somebody
yes,
else is gonna have to say.
Bang.
I'll second.
Steve motion, Richard second. Okay. And then everybody's all in favor of that? To approve the minutes from June 9th, 2021?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Mr. Chair, the next order of business is under old business, which is review of the city comprehensive tree plan.
Great. You'll be heading that up, right? True.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me pull up the tree plan. Last meeting, staff requested the tree commission to provide any changes to the city comprehensive tree plan, so staff can edit and bring back any such changes before the commission in September to be approved and subsequently sent to the mayor and common council to be reviewed and or adopted pursuant to the city code. Mr. Chair, you inquired if more recent land surface temperatures, LST and normalized difference vegetation index maps could be included in the comprehensive tree plan and update from what was originally there. Subsequent to our meeting, I reached out to the Towson University Department of Geography and Environmental Planning. I spoke to Dr. Schmitz, who is the head of such department. He got in contact with Professor Carter Wang, who came out to the city over the summer to not only provide us with an updated normalized different vegetation index maps and land surface temperature maps, but he also brought, or I should say, those maps of the entire city. But he also came to the city with a drone to survey the entire Main Street from Washington Road, Old Washington Road, all the way up to McDaniel College. And when he brought his 6-band sensor drone out, he not only got land surface temperature and normalized different vegetation index information, he also got elevation data. That information was put as Appendix 2 in the rear of the comprehensive tree plan after Appendix 1, which is the street tree maps, but Appendix 2 is up on the screen. And that I broke down into different sections. So for instance, up towards McDaniel College, you have which is more the aerial view of Main Street. And then that in comparison with the land surface temperature on the left and normalized difference vegetation index information on the right. So you can see where more vegetative surfaces correspond to lower land surface temperature. And also through downtown with the darker roofs correspond to higher land surface temperatures. So for instance, the white building, the white roof building right here is 45 West Main Street, the building that that I am in right now. And you can see it's a little bit, it's not as hot. The surface isn't as hot as other buildings with darker roofs. And also other things can be a factor with land surface temperature, including the composition of the surface material. But just wanted to put this in the plan because Towson University provided this information to the city for free through a grant from AmericView passed through by Maryland View. I thought this was just absolutely awesome very cool, if I can say that, very cool information for the city of Westminster. And also just to show you in the plan where our new NDVI and LST maps are. Let me pan up. So right here is for 2021, the normalized difference vegetation index and land surface temperature maps of the entire city of Westminster. And I kept that in there along with those same maps. And I apologize for going up and down. Oh, here we are. From 2017, 2007, 1994, and 1985. And as you can see with these maps, as Westminster, the more urbanized areas got hotter over time. So I just wanted to bring to the commission's attention that this information was added to the city comprehensive tree plan since you all saw it back in June. And also, I just wanted to let you all know, going through this, there's a couple white blank areas in the plan. If the tree commission approves this, I was going to go back and put some photographs in it, such as some of our plant awards from Maryland Department of Natural Resources Forest Service, just to sort of jazz up and spruce up the plan a little bit before it's sent to the mayor and common council for review and/or approval. But that is all I have, Mr. Chair. Please let me know if anyone has any questions from the commission.
No, I think that's great to have that data. And I think I'd mentioned to you earlier, Drew, that it could be the basis on kind of what the tree commission does in planning, hopefully future planning sites by looking at these heat indexes throughout the city, or at least the areas that are mapped. And I know the city isn't entirely just from North Main or from one end of Maine to the other. But it gives us kind of an idea of our priorities on what we need to look at.
Mm-hmm.
One question I had is there an agreement or an understanding, at least, that if Towson continues with this data gathering, say this becomes a long-term study for them, that they would in turn provide us with that data?
There's not an agreement. I think if I reached out to Towson next year, that I'm assuming as long as the funding is there through Maryland View, that they would be happy to do this.
Yeah,
I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak for Towson University, but
no, I understand.
I would definitely inquire next year as well, Mr. Chair.
Great. No, thank you for doing that.
Not a problem.
Any questions from the rest of the commission?
No, nothing here. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
But just to I guess, summarize what I'm requesting of the commission, city staff recommends that the tree commission send a favorable recommendation of the city comprehensive tree plan, the 2021 version, to the mayor and common council for review and possible adoption.
Sure, I motion to do that. Any second?
I'll second, Steve. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And Drew, this isn't live at this point. You're still waiting for approval from the city.
From the mayor and common council,
Yeah,
you all would provide such tree plan to the mayor and council for their review and adoption. So once we conclude the meeting, I'm going to go back in the plan and just add some photographs and any real minor edits that I could see. I don't think there's any, real grammar errors or anything, but if so, it'd just be grammatical corrections, and then that would be packaged to put on a mayor and common council meeting agenda for them for their review and possible adoption, Mr. Chair.
Great, and that would probably be at their next meeting or one of the.
I would have to check with the director of planning, and I'm sure he would then check with our city administrator.
Cool. Okay, anything else you want to tell us about, Drew?
For the tree plan? Not for the tree plan. No, sir.
Not hearing any questions, I'd like to move on to the next item then.
All right. And old business item B is review of the Main Street drone mapping GIS data. And if I may, Mr. Chair, I am going to pull up ArcMap. And this is the information that's in the Appendix B of the tree plan. But I just wanted to show everyone in ArcGIS some of the data and go over it. There's a lot of just, it's very interesting with time of day and how that affected land surface temperature. And sorry if I am if I'm nerding out here.
That's
but,
been nerdy stuff.
When did they use the drone? Do you know about the range of maybe the month they were in?
Oh, it was July, middle of July.
Okay, so it was a little warm.
Yes,
A little
yes. I do remember it was very, very warm that day. Let me share my screen. I apologize if I'm moving a little slow. At home I have I bought a remote mouse, but here I'm using the ThinkPad on the laptop. So I apologize if I'm moving slow.
Doing fine. It's better than I would do.
No, this goes to the other computer. So this is an ArcMap, the view of downtown Westminster, right in the core of downtown at 27 and East and West Main Street. And let me turn on the multispectral image. Hopefully it'll work faster than. All right. So as you can see, you have tree cover, darker roofs in some of the nearby buildings. So then when you put on the, let me just put in the NDVI layer. And you can see how those trees directly correspond. You can see all the trees are the vegetation cover in that area of the city. Then transposed on top of that, the land surface temperature, where the trees in that, what is shown in the NDVI layer is the cooler areas, the cooler land surface temperature areas. And also what I thought was extremely interesting is, so this was, I think this was taken around like 11:30 during the day. So the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. So on the west side of the building, there would be less sunlight, or if any at all at that time of day.
Yeah.
And looking at the land surface temperature, see right here on the west side of the buildings, and you have a little here where the trees are, but it just looks like some of that could be from the shade.
Shaded building.
That's pretty cool.
So this is the entire layer when you go up Main Street. Here's 45 West Main Street, and putting the land surface temperature data on, and you can see dark roofs correspond with the no vegetation area. So it's extremely interesting how, and especially with this precise close-up data, how trees really impact the temperatures of the land surface temperatures around them. Because not only do trees provide shade, but there's also evapotranspiration. Just a lot of stuff going on there that, so with, are trees a benefit to the city of Westminster? Absolutely. I mean, it's just really, really, really interesting to see with the temperature data here, what they do for Main Street. So Mr. Chair, if you have any questions, I can move around here. Show
No, I
any-
think this is great. It's good. It's great data to have, and it's kind of nice to have something to base decisions on. And I think the general public interest is going to be in, looking at this data, especially the concern with, rising temperatures.
I think we're all happy with what you got.
And Steve, I don't know if there was no action for this item. I just wanted to have this as a presentation, but I don't know if anybody has any questions or if you would like me to move on to the next item. Mr. Chair, are you there?
Is it a furs or?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I must have been in a bad spot in my house. I don't know if I lost you again.
I see you now.
Okay, good. I'm going to move to a different spot. A little warmer though, darn it.
Chair on the move.
Okay, I think I'm better here.
Did you want me to go? I guess, does the commission have any questions or would you like to move on to the next item?
I don't have any more questions, but let's hear from the rest of the commission.
I think it's pretty awesome.
I agree. I think it's pretty neat, and thanks for getting that.
Not a problem. If, Mr. Chair, if you would like to move into new business.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
Give an update on the 2021 Urban and Community Forestry Workshop. From what I've heard, there has been right now not the amount of attendees for the forestry workshop. So right now it's still debating whether or not said forestry workshop will happen. I know Ms. Schisler is on the line, and if she would like to add anything, or Eric, if you would like to.
Paul's.
Oh, Paul, or
Yeah,
Paul,
no.
yes.
Yeah, Paul is present to give an update on that, so I'm gonna defer to him.
Okay,
Okay, so an update on the workshop this year. As of 12 o'clock today, we have 15 people. Speaking with Brian Roden, it's not enough people. At first, I thought 20 would be enough. Brian advised me 20 was not enough. So he would like to see 40, maybe even 50 people. I don't think we can reach that goal. I will say Brian manages 13 offices and is very adamant about having the workshop in every office. And we haven't been able to get one. And a lot of us believe it's because of COVID, not doing it in person. So he suggested that we cancel, take a step back, not cancel, reschedule, and try to do it in person. Maybe at a different date. He suggested maybe a different date. So
Is there a virtual option to this workshop? I can't remember.
it was virtual, Steve.
there was
Okay,
a-
that's what I thought. And
Yeah.
and you still couldn't get, even with the virtual, you still couldn't get the numbers.
No, all we have as from 12 o'clock today, we had, or 1 o'clock, whatever time it was, 15 people.
Wow, and that went out to our old mailing list that had been pretty dependable. That's interesting.
Correct.
Wow. Is there have you guys made a decision to kind of punt this to the future, or is there a drop dead date where that decision occurs? I'm not real clear on that.
I think it has to be, I was given it till Friday. Brian said, if we don't have 40 people, we gotta not schedule it, cancel it. Or as a team, as a committee, take a step back and figure out a better alternative. But I can't ask the lab staff on short notice to come in person.
Yeah, no, I understand. Got it. Okay, and so it looks pretty unlikely at this point, if you only have 15, that you're going to get another 25 by
Correct,
Friday. Yeah,
correct.
got it. Okay. Huh. Okay, well, I guess that's sad news, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it now.
No, I was actually surprised we only had 15. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I guess there's really nothing to vote on. So,
See what next year brings.
yeah, any questions from anybody else or comments or?
No, none for me right now. I understand. I mean, 15's enough people to even have the thing. So
Yeah.
Okay,
I
well,
did send out a reminder email last Friday. I only got a couple of responses for people that were out of the office, and most of them were out of the office until the end of this week.
Yeah.
So I can send out another email letting people know that the deadline to register is Friday, but that's only it only gives them one business day, and I don't think that would be fair to throw out there to everybody.
I agree, Sam, and I don't know if we get enough people to join to make that reminder even worth taking the time to do. You know, I'd hate you send a reminder and we get 4 people or 5 people
Then you're gonna turn around
and tell them we can't do it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, when we started this talk last year, COVID was a big thing. We thought we were doing something right by doing it on Zoom and doing it in virtually. I don't know. I don't know.
So I just want to throw out as well to the in-person option. We are kind of limited with our spacing. Even if we use the city office, you know, we've got those 2 large, we got a conference room and a training room downstairs, and we can't adequately social distance people
Right.
in our building, at the fire hall, even if we have it at McDaniel. There's no large enough conference space that we can rent and have enough room for, even if we have 100 people come. You know, I know 2 or 3 years ago, 75, I think is what our number was. In the past, I know we've had upwards of almost 200 people, but even just looking at 100 people and trying to make sure there's enough space in between each person, whether or not we can or should require masks, vaccination status, all of those questionable variables that we have to weigh whether or not it's worth asking or worth mandating if we can require that. So I think this year, it's just like last year, it's going to end up being, we can't do it simply because we don't have the space for it.
yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, for the future, if it's still, we're still in the COVID world, maybe just limit the in-person attendees to 75 or whatever the hall will allow for COVID spacing.
Well, if you're looking at the fire hall, you're looking at maybe 50 to 60. Because people were kind of on top of each other and they were a pretty decent distance from the presentation screen, even with 75 people. You're looking at going halfway back the room, and a lot of folks couldn't see the screen. So I think if we're going to have it in person and we're going to limit in person, then 50 would probably be where I would max it out at.
Well, 50s right now is better than 15.
No, I know, I mean, looking forward, if we want to offer an in-person and a virtual option, say, okay, in-person for the first 50 people. After that, there's a virtual option on a different day or something like that. Just something to think about for the future.
Well, the one workshop that I attended earlier this year, they had both in-person and virtual option. I chose the virtual. I know Paul went in person, so it does work. There's just-
And they were, like you said, Sam, I mean, it was Turf Valley. It's a huge place.
Mhm.
And we were spaced way apart. Yeah,
You know how many was in person?
I don't. It was a low attendance in person though.
Mhm.
And the only reason I went is because we sponsored it and we had or sponsors sponsored, I guess, and we had two presenters there.
Right.
Otherwise, we would have not gone. But like Sam said, they had us 6 feet apart, and it's a table like this, and there's two of you sitting there, and yeah, it's tough.
That's something to try to plan for, see what we can do.
Yeah, only the future will tell. Okay, I guess let's move on to the next point. What else is on the agenda here, Drew?
Commission comments.
Oh, the only thing is, I know, I guess this is more for Eric. There's lots of open. Space. Looks like a couple trees were taken out. Do we have any estimations on at least the recent removals along Main Street as to what can be replanted and what can't because of gas lines, water lines, electric?
Right,
things?
well, we have two open pits right now that I ordered trees and I'm getting them from Hunter. They will be in the ground Monday.
Cool, great, okay.
I was shooting for Serviceberry, but we might be getting Okami cherries.
Gotcha, okay. And that's on those Main Street pits?
Yes, up by Center Street.
Yeah,
Yeah, on both sides of Center Street there.
good, okay. Any other questions, comments from the tree commission? Why group today? How about staff comments?
Eric, would you like to?
I don't think we have anything right at the moment.
Okay, I have just two brief items. I guess number one is the city, we have been internally talking about coming up with a green team for sustainable Maryland. And I want to ask the different boards and commissions if we could get a member from each board. And our planning boards, for instance, Planning and Zoning Commission, Tree Commission, just to see if somebody would like to volunteer to be on that Sustainable Maryland Commission, the green team. So I don't need an answer now, but if anybody wants to email me or just let me know.
Could you send out some details to all the commission members on what it would entail, kind of expectations, goals, things like that, so that we can have a better idea what we're getting into?
Yes, sir.
That would be great. And just kind of a little description, maybe even existing towns that have green team members, what they do, what's expected of them.
Will do. And then my only other thing I wanted to bring up, and Mr. Chair, actually, literally 20 minutes before the meeting, I got an email from MML, Maryland Municipal League. And in case any of you watching or here, not sure what MML is. There's two big organizations in Maryland from local governments. You have MACO, Maryland Association of Counties, and MML, which is Maryland Municipal League. We would be under Maryland Municipal League. And Sustainable Maryland, who's the same group through the University of Maryland, I think it's the Environmental Finance Center, they contacted staff a couple months ago and wanted an article about Westminster. And we reached out to Chair Allgaier, and he drafted up, and thank you very much, Steve, for doing this. He drafted up a article that was sent to Sustainable Maryland, and they sent that to Maryland Municipal League, and they posted that in their in the Municipal Maryland magazine that goes out to all elected and appointed officials throughout the state. And this is what on the screen now, Steve's article that he wrote. So thank you, Steve, for doing that. Thank you for taking your time to write this article. Very much appreciated.
Good. Oh, I hope we get good feedback on it.
And that's all I have. Unless anybody has any questions for me. And if you would like, I can send everybody a link to this article.
Yeah, send me a link because I'll make sure Wes gets it.
Okay,
That's who's in that picture.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a good shot of Wes.
Jessica's in the corner as well.
Who is that?
Jessica is in the lower left corner as well.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you can see her shoulder.
Yeah.
Good.
And
Great.
that's
Yeah.
all I have.
What's that?
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Great. Anybody else need to add anything?
I just wanted to make one positive comment, not really positive, but not negative against the tree workshop, that I'm thinking that some of our regular attendees might be working with limited staff, not only due to COVID, but also due to any striation of schedules or anything that they're working with, that maybe they can't allow even one person to leave for an entire day to attend a conference virtually, where it's all hands on deck. I know it's been difficult with our own streets department and trying to keep up with all the work, catch up from last year. So it might not be that they don't want to come, it's just they don't have the staff to be able to cover it for that day. So I just wanted to add that.
That's a good point, Sam.
Good. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Sounds good.
Second.
Thank you all. And I guess I'll see everybody hopefully in November for our next meeting.